Welcome to the podcast edition of Stage Pass, your ticket to the untold stories and soulful tunes of Southeastern Virginia's very best musicians. Thanks for joining. I'm Michael Monahan, and this week my guest is Mr. Troy Breslow. I saw a video of you when you were playing. It looked like you were playing in another part of the country. Were you on the road playing, or did you live somewhere else at the time?
Yes. I lived in Murfreesboro, Tennessee for about a year in 2018. And I was trying to go everywhere I possibly could at the time. So I was booking gigs in Kansas City, in the Wisconsin Dells, out in Illinois, just random spots that would answer the phone, you know. I'm still touring, you know what I mean, and doing what I can there. But if I hadn't come back from Nashville, I would have missed a lot.
Oh, really?
You know, yeah. A lot of, you know, I have a lot of roots here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also have a child, so.
Well, there's a good reason to be here.
But he was post Nashville.
So what? So where do you play around town, Troy?
Well, as far as Virginia Beach and the South Side goes, it's pretty much wherever Rockstar Booking puts me.
Yeah. Played
at Murphy's last night, and in Virginia Beach, I play there a little bit. Play at Big Ugly Brewing in Chesapeake a lot. A lot of my rooms are in Newport News, like Smoke Barbecue and Hilton Tavern.
Yeah.
Got a lot of places up in Williamsburg too, like Ale Works, and got a monthly booking at the Corner Pocket next year. I'm pretty excited about.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
So yeah, I pretty much play everywhere. I try to, at least, you know, because it's a good living around here.
Yeah, it is. It is. I tell you, I was surprised, but there are. I think Tidewater has more availability to artists than Atlanta had. And I lived in Atlanta for about 15 years, and I thought the local music scene there was really wanting compared to what we have here.
You know, I've seen a lot of cool I've been involved in a lot of cool communities just on the road and stuff, and I've seen a lot of how they do their stuff. The closest I think I've come to this area just by witness is like Jackson, Tennessee.
Huh.
Yeah, it's something very similar to the Veer Music Awards out there called the Tennessee Music Awards. And I somehow more or less got nominated for Americana Artist of the Year out there.
Nice.
In 2018. It was the same year I won Country Artist of the Year from Veer. And man, it was such a tight-knit community out there. They even wrote a song about Jackson, Tennessee, where they had every local musician singing on it.
Oh, that's great. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
It was cool.
Yeah. So what year did you win the Veer Award?
That was 2018.
2018? Awesome.
It's funny, too, because I'm playing at this place in Franklin on Thursday called the Hubs Vine, and they don't know this yet because I haven't told them, but they advertised that I was Veer's Country Artist of the Year, but they didn't specify what year. So the entire internet broke that night, and I have about 210 reactions on that post congratulating me for being Country Artist of the Year.
Well, tell them it was long overdue, thanks, right?
Yeah, and all my friends are just like, just use it, man.
Right.
You know.
That's awesome. You've got a great sound. I really, really like your voice a lot.
Thank you. Was that the Knoxville thing I sent?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah.
It was.
That was back in April. That was cool.
I love the Knoxville area. That's one of my favorite parts of Tennessee.
I really do. I love it too. There are some amazing artists and songwriters coming out of Knoxville these days.
They really are. You know what? It's actually been a real haven for artists for years. With a friend of mine, I don't know where we were going, but somehow we ended up in Fontana Village. And have you ever heard of that? It's right on the it's right in the corner where Virginia, North Carolina, and Tennessee kind of join. And this group of kids that were going to college in Knoxville were there working, putting on plays at night. And the place was like, it was like that spot in Dirty Dancing. I mean, it was exactly like it, where it was just, families coming in and staying in the cabins, and they had a main meeting hall where they put on all these shows. But we got to know these actors and actresses. And one of the guys there had written a song that was just an a cappella tune. and it was so gorgeous. I made him walk around the mountains with me till he taught me the song so I could hang on to it. And I still remember it to this day, but they were just the nicest people. We had a great time there. I loved it.
There was this, the last time I went to Knoxville, I literally was doing just a small little radio tour, not expecting to make any money or anything, you know.
Yeah.
I wound up selling a little bit of merch, so that was cool for gas and stuff. But,
Yeah.
and I got to stay with some friends. That was my first trip back to Tennessee since I left Nashville in 2019. So this was just this past April. I played WDVX, but the night before I was on the way, and I texted a friend of mine in Knoxville, and I was like, "Hey, are there any open mics tonight?" And there's this really cool brewery called Gazer's Brewery in Knoxville, and I think they moved the Songwriter Night to another location now. But I gotta tell you, man, I don't know if you remember Vaughn Deal.
Oh, God. Vaughn was a very good friend of mine. And I tell you the truth, I'm still not over it.
I'll never be over it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Wonderful guy.
That was one of the, we can get into that
yeah. That's a deep issue there.
I haven't seen anything like what Vaughn would do with, songwriters and open mics until for a very long time, until I got to this random place in Knoxville, and everyone there was good. Everyone knew how to play, write a song, all that stuff, and it was just the coolest thing I've seen in a long time for songwriters.
Yeah.
And I was blown away that they even liked me. So
that's
I got a
awesome.
Standing ovation.
Really? That's nice. That's nice.
And I had just been in the car for 12 hours. I'm never nervous, dude. Like, I was shaking the whole time.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, it's funny. When you're playing someplace you're comfortable, even if it's a new bar, but it's in your hometown, you still got a little bit of the swagger and the confidence that you have just doing a gig in town. But you go to a new place with musicians you've never seen before, and they're good, and you got to get up and play. It's a challenge.
Yeah, and not to mention, a good friend of mine who's a tour manager for an artist I've opened up for before. I'm not going to mention any names here, but they were there too, and I was just blown away by the love and support.
Yeah,
from all these important people to me that were there.
Yeah,
and the fact that they were so welcoming to me was just really cool because I've been in a lot of situations where I've tried to book gigs places, or I have booked gigs places, and some places just don't take kindly to outsiders. But I just didn't have a problem there, so that was cool.
That's a great thing to have in your pocket too, because it gives you someplace. It's not too far to get from here to the Knoxville area, or really not even Tennessee. So you've got someplace, if you ever just need a break from this area, you can go there and play a little bit, couldn't you?
Oh, sure. I'd love to.
So what's your background as far as your songs go, Troy? Do you have a CD out, or do you have things up on Spotify?
I do have a couple records out, but I've written a lot of songs around those records. It's honestly, my debut record came out, and I call it my debut record because it was my first full band production kind of thing.
Yeah.
Politics and Road Rage. It was nominated in 2018 for EP of the Year and Song of the Year.
Oh, cool.
That was my first record. It took me 5 years to put out another record, and the next record happened by accident during the pandemic, and I actually recorded it on the same setup I'm using for this interview right now. It's called Pandemic Blues. Co-produced by my good friend Wyatt Baldwin up in Williamsburg.
Yeah.
And another great local musician. I don't know if you've had him on the show before, but
I haven't. I haven't. We're still fairly new. I think you'll be my 8th guest.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. I just started doing this in September. I ran into do you know Brenda Barkley?
Oh, I know. I've known Brenda for years.
Yeah, she actually managed my band back in the 80s. So not managed, but booked us, I guess is a better word for it.
She's done a lot of work around here
for
a long time.
She has. And she called me up out of the blue and said, what would you think about doing this thing on WHRV with local musicians? And I thought, that sounds like fun. Let's do it. So I'm having a great time with it, but yeah, it's still a fairly new thing. So you'll be one of the first 10. Let's listen to one of your songs. This is Man on Fire.
I'm a stagecoach singer with a company band. I've traveled all across this land. It ain't for money, girls, or fame. I just wanna try and make my name. It's country blues and cowboy songs, and a little bit let's just get along. I eat my meals in a driver's seat, and I lay my head where a traveler sleeps. I got 2 guitars and an old blue shirt, and I ain't afraid to play in the dirt. Death and taxes gonna take my soul on some bright morning when the deck's gone cold. Yeah, on some bright morning when the deck's gone cold. Oh, oh, oh. Honey, I'm glad you're waiting for me at the end of the tunnel where the willow weeps. You've given me a home and you've given me love, and you taught me to pray to the heavens above. I'm coming back, are you ready for me? 'Cause I come with a whole lot of memories. But I'm made of wood and I'm made of oil. I'm a man on fire and I'm made to toil. I'm a man on fire and I'm made to toil. Oh, oh, oh.
What do you do when you with the music that you have, Troy? Do you get that up to the streaming services, or what are your thoughts on that whole process?
See, it's funny. Like I said, I've written so many songs around those records, and I still have yet to feel like I've, completed my masterpiece in any way,
Yeah.
I spoke to a friend of mine like last year at some point, and I told him, I said, man, I feel like I haven't even written my songs yet, but I do get them on. I do have those records out on the streaming services, and you can also go to my YouTube channel. It's just at Troy Breslow, and you'll see a lot of songs that haven't per se been recorded yet. And you know how it is being a songwriter. You always want your, most relevant stuff to be heard the most,
Right.
But I don't regret any records I've ever put out. I'm pretty proud of them still, and I've been thinking about it for a long time of just making this masterpiece happen.
I think deep in every musician's soul, there's that.
Yeah.
There's that craving to come up with the best you've ever done.
It's also, it can be very self-deprecating too, because you never get anything done. That mentality,
right? So, how long have you played guitar, Troy?
I want to say 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started when I was 12.
Yep.
And I'm 27 now, so yeah, about 15 years.
What prompted your interest in it?
My mom had a yarn store in York County, back when I was in middle school, and we had a yarn store in Newport News that we wound up moving to York County, and it turns out Pro Music and Sound was next door.
Huh.
And over time, I just assimilated into the culture, so to speak.
So,
And it was just, that was the end of it.
just took the dive. Was there a particular style or a particular artist that you right away knew you wanted to emulate?
When I was 12 years old, it was Bon Jovi. And then when I was 13, it was Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, after trying to write songs for a long time, I finally wrote a song, which I think is the one I sent you, Thunder Down the Road.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the first song I ever wrote that was any good, and I didn't put it on a real record until about 12 years later. So I walked into Starbucks with my high school demo of it, that me and my buddy recorded in his attic. And they were like, that's pretty good for country. And up until that point, I had no idea that I was even a country singer. So I feel like I've taken on various musical forms, but the country thing's really stuck over the years,
Huh. That's interesting. So now what, if you sit down to write, are there other people in the genre that inspire you?
Probably way too many to count. But, I find myself at gigs lately. I've been playing a lot more John Prine songs than anyone else.
Oh gosh, he's the best.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Lake Marie is my favorite song to cover of all time right now.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I sang Angel from Montgomery. That to me was that era of John Prine when he first hit. He was like the new Dylan for a while,
Don't you hate it when people ask for John Prine and they want to hear Paradise? I'm sorry.
Yep.
It's like, do you want to hear Paradise or do you want to hear John Prine?
Right.
I can do some John Prine all day. You know what I mean? I think honestly, like, my favorite John Prine lyric of all time. It's so visceral for me, and I don't know why. I picture it being this like wintertime, park bench, and he's sitting next to the girl they're trying to keep warm, and it's like lunchtime, but it's still like 45 degrees outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I sat on the park bench, kissed the girl with the black hair, and my head shouted down to my heart, "You better look out below." I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
and who else I think is just as gifted, if not more so, is Jason Isbell. Good Lord, that guy can write lyrics.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the 10th anniversary of Southeastern that just came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite records of all time. I will say that record really helped mold me.
Really? Yeah.
I didn't hear it till 2 years after it came out, though. But
yeah,
that one, Sturgill Simpson, everything he's ever done.
Simpson, yeah, another great one.
And Tyler Childers is kind of like a that one goes without saying. I think for everyone in music right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard of Adeem the Artist, but they're one of my favorite artists too. Non-binary country singer from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Huh. I'll have to check that out. I know Jason Isbell. To me, when I listen to his lyrics, I can see it. I can visualize his words. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. He just has a real gift for painting a picture,
And if you're going to mention Jason Isbell, we might as well mention James McMurtry.
Well, yeah. Now he's another brilliant one.
You talk about someone painting a picture.
Yeah.
I think he's probably my favorite of all time.
Is that right?
I would say so. He's got that Dylan approach that he's always had, whether he wants to admit it or not.
Yeah.
But he's also kind of, the guy at E-Town called him an everyman.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And, all these guys, and it's interesting that the people that you're mentioning, because I'm not a real fan of what most people consider country, but of all the artists we're talking about, they're almost like a new breed of country music. And it's apart from what you hear on Top 40 Country Radio, I think.
See, that's the thing too, is I can't stand country music. if we're talking about it in the general sense of the word.
Yeah.
That most people think of. And that's where it gets really hairy and political,
Yeah.
Because it's wrong to call it country music because you're afraid of the stigma associated with country music. And it's wrong to call it Americana because you're going to offend the real country artists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
even the Americana Association is now having troubles being, all inclusive and all these other things that are going on politically or whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
I'd like to thank Troy Breslow for being my guest this week, and thanks to all of you for tuning in. All of the Stage Pass interviews can be heard on our website at stagepass.us and on our Facebook page at facebook.com/stagepass.whrv, as well as wherever you find your podcasts normally. If you're enjoying the program, please remember to like and follow us, and we'll be back next week with another new episode of Stage Pass.